just so everyone is aware, it's Christmas Eve. Okay, so that's what we got.
'Tis the season to be
Yeah,
jolly.
that's
Right.
why we got these Christmas jumpers on.
Right,
That's what we
and
can all see.
Happy
Okay.
birthday, Christmas, Jesus.
Yeah, I
Happy
thought
birthday,
that was a good one.
Happy
I picked
birthday,
it.
Jesus. 24th. Happy birthday. It's your birthday tomorrow. You are fucking, I don't know.
How old's Jesus?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that, actually. He's 2023 years old. I was just thinking that. 'Cause I was thinking, God, he's fucking really old, isn't he?
no, but,
that's how old
but actually,
Yeah, but
there's BC and there's AD, isn't there? So there's that whole thing. When did it start? When
Yeah.
did it? It's not as clear cut as what.
No,
what it
because
is.
actually his birthday is technically. Hold on. No, it is his birthday, isn't it? Christmas. So,
Yeah.
Allah.
We're just- yeah,
we're not very
fucking
good with
idea.
religion.
When it
We'll
comes to this sort of stuff,
We'll
it's
move
just
on
like-
from that topic
Yeah,
quite
that's
I can
quickly.
tell you about banging nails in with a hammer, but I can't tell you about this sort of stuff. I can tell you though, it's definitely
It's his
Happy Birthday, Jesus.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
let's just get that out there. So look, I look like fucking Father Christmas with this fucking thing on my white hair. All I need now is a little beard, don't I?
Yeah, you could grow one out as well. You've got that. You've got it in you.
Do you reckon he would have a Lego beard like his Lego hair? He could
Do
just
you know,
like clip it
if I had
off.
if I had a beard, it would be waxed, wouldn't it? It'd be all like literally a
It'd be perfectly.
Yeah,
trimmed.
you know,
Literally.
imagine if I went
be
into
a
Francois and I
masterpiece.
turned around to him and said, right, I said, Francois, I need a haircut, I need my beard trim, and I need an hour. I said, you're going to have to get that accurate with
Perfect,
it.
literally.
Because if there's one hair out of place, Francois, you're fucking getting it.
Yeah, his hair is literally perfect. You know, this
Yeah,
is,
you have got the Lego head.
very-
We- and we mean that by the fact he could take his hair off, put it down on the table, and then come back tomorrow, pick it up and pull it back
Clip it
on,
back
and it'd be
on
the
again.
exact same. Because he's got literally the perfect haircut.
Yeah.
Like it stays the
very-
same. Never changes either.
Yeah,
that's
but I
what
think
like
that's
about it.
that's credit to my barber. So we'll talk
Shout
shout
out
out
Francois.
Francois. Well, actually, to be fair, guys, all our barbers.
wow.
I don't. It's definitely not
Yeah.
Billy's. Is it?
Yeah.
It's fucking look at Billy's hair.
I do need to pop in and
I
see
think a
him.
goat
Yeah,
guy's
so do I
hair.
as well, dude. We're doing a podcast and we haven't got a fresh trim. Like,
No.
Francois, sort us
Oh,
out.
do you know?
bro.
Do you know?
No,
Do you know the worst
no,
thing? See,
no,
you're probably
seriously.
all right at the moment, but your ears, when you get older, like I'm 37, my ears get really hairy. Yeah, I have to get them sorted out, mate. It's
Do
like
you get
Epping
the
Forest.
fire thing where they whack the fire on your ear to get rid
No,
of
Francois
the wax?
does it with the wax, doesn't he?
Yeah, I
So
wouldn't
he gets
trust
the wax,
Francois
and
with
he
that.
shoves it
You
in
know
your
when
ear
you
with
start
a
doing that
Q-tip.
sort of stuff, it encourages the hair to grow back.
I know,
longer.
that's
So
the problem.
as soon as you do it once,
See, I
it's
noticed,
like
right?
a-
I never used to have a hairy ears, right? And I went up to some Turkish barber up in Mordan, and he started doing that. And ever since then, I've had really hairy ears.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
have to
the
trim
same's
your
happened
ears.
with my ball bag as well, because to be fair, I keep trimming that, and it keeps getting
The
hairy.
fire started.
Yeah,
God's
so it
sake,
fucking
you-
always grows back, doesn't it?
So Brad's got himself a Christmas jumper on as well. We got
got my
Happy
new
Birthday,
jumper.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You gonna
Yeah.
show us
Your
the
lights
lights?
shine up.
Yeah,
or what?
so what I've got right here, guys, I've gone for something a bit different, you know. I thought I'd go for like being an elf, right? And then first of all,
Buddy.
got my little tag here, so I can have a little rave whilst I'm actually
look at
on
that.
the podcast.
Yeah, so you can't
How's,
have
how does it? How does it look, Bill?
Does
Does
that
it?
actually look alright? I'll take that, man. That's sexy. That's fucking sexy. Look at this. You can have a little rave whilst you're going on it. But for the time of the podcast, I'll save that till later.
Well, I think before we talk about anybody's jumper, and we have talked about the jumpers, we need to talk about fucking La La Land here.
Yeah.
It's like,
Full
what the
onesie
fuck?
over it.
Is it
Oh, and-
full onesie? What are these,
we-
the Grinch
we
slippers?
got Grinch
yeah,
slippers on.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he got
That's
the elf
proper
hat.
festive.
Yeah,
and,
elf hat. Yeah.
Jen's
My
dressing
wife's
gown.
dressing gown on. So we went on the Polar Express, and this is actually what I wore on the Polar Express. There was a load of other weirdos all dressed like this in pajamas, and it was a pretty cool
Because
experience.
the whole idea behind the Polar Express is pajama. Yeah, of course, because it's a kid wakes up in the night, isn't it? So
yes,
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah, cool,
novel,
yeah,
the
yeah.
actual fact that
I keep thinking
all
of
in
Harry
pyjamas.
Potter, and I don't know what I'm thinking of that. but-
Expelliarmus.
yeah, that'd have been a bit different, a whole different story. but
Yeah.
so,
So
yeah.
this was the Polar Express. So this is my attire for this evening. So
Yeah.
I think what do we say this podcast will be about? Is it the
Right.
back? Is it the backstory of us all?
So what I want this podcast to be about, and this will be our first topic of this podcast, is I want it to be about our stories, really. But I want us to tell our story on this podcast and to give people a bit more of an insight to who we are. And it's Christmas. It's coming up Christmas.
What,
We all
what,
finished
what
now.
date is it, Brad?
It's the 22nd right now, but this will be coming out on 24th.
Yeah.
So,
Happy Christmas.
yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, so I feel like it's
You
a
should
nice
go
time
first.
for all of us now. We're
Yeah,
all
you
finished.
can go first. Sir.
Yeah, I think
What's
You've
that?
thrown yourself
Tell us
in
your
the
story.
deep end
Tell us
here.
your
Go on.
story.
Spit it out.
All right, okay. I am 22, so I'm a builder. Me and
Single?
My dad,
I suppose let's
Chuck the single in
let's
there.
just talk about it like little serious note to start this whole conversation off. All right, now Brad's obviously my son,
Yeah.
and
How long have you known him
Am
for?
we've been going through this whole fucking process this year. This last 6 months has been like probably the hardest, toughest thing Brad's ever going to have to ever do, and I feel like it's turned him into a 40-year-old before he was 22. If that makes sense, because what he's learned over the last 6 months through the business and everything that we've had today has been very difficult. And I think Brad's like has that problem. It's like when he goes out and he's with his peers and he's having a chat like about his age and all that sort of stuff, it's very difficult for Brad to tell people what he is or what he's becoming, because it would sound like you're being a bit of a dick. And you're not trying to be a dick. You're not trying to be something on Instagram or anything like that. It's just generally what we've been through. It's with the business and going through this documentary, doing this podcast. All this stuff is like Brad's got so much to say, but he has never had the chance really to say it. And if he says it to people his own age, he's not quite sure how it's going to be received. And it's sort of like a caged animal. So I was talking about Mickey last week being a caged animal with respect to work. Brad's like a caged animal with what he wants to say.
We got some big highs.
yeah, well,
Big highs.
Going to it, it's a difficult thing for like me because, like you say, we've been running a company that's done very well throughout the past 3-4 years of it being truly operating, and started in January, so it's just coming up to our 4 years. And yeah, it's been like an interesting ride. Like I've learned so much about running a business, the real value in like having the employees on. Like we employed up to 30, we had 30 people working on a site at one time.
I know I bought them all coffee
Yeah.
once. It was the most
And
painful
it's-
experience of
it's-
my
you know,
life.
I remember that.
That's
There
a lot
were
of people
freaking
to
loads of them, weren't there?
Basically be in charge of and running a job of a size that's enormous. We built an enormous house.
Many
Something that-
sleepless nights.
No, never had a sleepless night. That's one thing I would
So
say.
you can distance yourself from work. Like you can switch it off.
I have a good sense that a lot of people may struggle with that and get overwhelmed by it. But for my sake, it's like I've realised now that work is work, and like yes, you still think about work outside of work, but my mentality is just like if you try your best in your day, so you make certain you feel like you've always accomplished something.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like every day I've always accomplished something. I walk away from that day with something, and I'm there like I've either gone out my way to do this podcast, edit, create, and film all this. And it's like that's something I've just randomly come up with whilst we're just sat in this down period of work.
Shout out to Brad.
Yeah, but it's just it's a pretty unique position I sit in. I'm 22 and I've managed 7.5 million through my company, and like I've
like a hedge fund,
financially
isn't it?
managed all of that myself. And it's
There's a
like
reality to that
and
as a
I'm-
22-year-old,
I
isn't
make-
there? So
yeah, you can. I'm not being totally open. We made 20% on that, and we did. And you can work out what that is, and you look at that from a company from 4 years as a building company from nothing to that. That's an incredible success.
Can I
appreciate
just
that,
can I
man.
just take the
appreciate
time?
it.
Can I just
thank
take
you,
the
sir. I
time?
appreciate that. It was all
That's
my
it.
doing.
Can I take the time?
No.
It leaves me in
I
a weird
mean-
position because like I'm there, like I've done all this at my age already and had the experience and knowledge of being a part of all this, and it's been an incredible journey for me. But like you said, it puts me in a weird sort of period.
Can I ask a question?
Go on.
How did it feel to be so young and then to manage
Holding
people
it
that
up.
are older than you? Like, how have you managed to over?
That's
like,
a very good thing because with my age, a lot of people see it as a weakness because they're like, oh, he's only 22, he doesn't know fucking this shit, he don't understand it, he don't get it. And I'm there like, well, look, I built that. I put all the panel, cut all the paneling for the ceiling, built this steel beam. It's like I've built the TV walls behind us. It's like this whole room's a representative of what we do and what I've
Laid
done.
the floor, actually.
Laid the floor, and it's like, yeah. So it's
Yeah, Mick.
yeah, we've done it
Nice.
together. Me and Mick did that first time. Never done tiling before, and we just thought we'd give it a go in this bar.
Mick paid somebody. Right?
And-
This is the ironic thing. Mick paid somebody to do the floor in his house, and then came here and ended up laying mine.
Yeah, yeah, it's nuts.
That's mad, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's
In a
absolutely
real,
madness.
yeah. So that's but all joking aside, like what Brad's done is like for a 22-year-old. I mean, like I handed over the reins of the business to Brad when he was 19 years old, as such, because I'm a builder, right? I can go build something. Asking me to look after the money and the financial side of it all, I can do it, but I don't want to do it. And I could never have been as efficient, never been as professional as we were if we hadn't have had Brad. Brad has been the massive arm to this, but I felt Brad's burden on him because he's had to bring it every day. He doesn't get a choice in the matter, same as me.
Yeah.
And to have done what he's done over these 3-4 years now is unreal. But I feel like this is hopefully a time now for Brad to kind of just relinquish all that, own what he's becoming, and just accept that you're just a...
Can I ask you a random question then? So as a builder, how old are you, Steve?
52.
You're 52. And you said, openly and honestly there, you're a builder. You're not, running the money and stuff like that. It's not your forte. Do you think that there is other 50-year-old builders nowadays that are in the exact same position as you, whereby business has moved on and it's all about the numbers, it's all about HSE, it's all about, getting the method statements and all that stuff that they just go, oh, I can't cope with this, and just have to get young blood in to try and get the relevance.
I think you got to trust it. Like you say, look, I put a massive amount of trust in these young boys, like Brad, 19, but when he started, all this 22 now. Billy, you'd be on the camera there, like 21. Ash, all these, we've put a lot of faith in Bailey, put a lot of faith in all these boys. Yeah. And it's the right thing to do. Brad is fucking walking proof. I know we've had this discussion before to a certain degree, but it's, what I want sort of Brad to be able to kind of do now is feel like he can offload a little bit of that pressure, to this podcast, really, in some respects. Actually, just tell your story and just go through the motions of what you've been through.
This podcast is really
it's pretty fucking unique.
Yeah, this podcast is going to be for all of us to get our feelings, emotions, what we actually truly want to say, and actually have a voice in this world that we live in and we're all accommodating to. Like, I feel like nowadays, the amount of advice that's actually out there isn't actually good advice. You see all these people, they're like, oh yeah, join my business plan and you'll make millions. And it's like, no, it's just,
that's bullshit.
It's just
money's that easy,
always
Jay,
looking
innit?
to make
how
the
long
fast
you been
cash.
business, my friend, and you just found it that fucking easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people could you coach now to make a load of fucking money?
Oh, honestly, if anyone wants to, if everyone wants to just pay me like £1,000 a month, what I'll do is I'll tell you how to make money, and this is it. Okay, I'm giving everyone a free lesson.
It goes back to the same thing as the professional snagger.
Oh,
it's like, it goes
100%.
back to that thing. There's actually a job for fucking people like this, and people are stupid enough to actually believe them. Don't get me wrong, you can take some sound advice from some sound people. I'm not messing in that sense of the word, but there's no fucking quick, easy
100%
mentor route you can go down, because the mentor, and if you're paying the mentor, think about it from that point of view, it's a business. Do they benefit from your success?
So I actually have a bit of a funny one. So there is a guy which I'm not naming, right, until I find out if I'm going to get in trouble, right? But he runs it's like become a property mogul, buy properties, and then what you do is you rent them out and everything like that. So what I thought I'd do is I'd just drop him a message, because obviously I know a little something, so I thought I'd call him out a bit. So I call up, speak to this lovely lady. She said, tell me a bit about yourself. I said, I do self-storage and used office furniture. And she said, oh, funny enough, my brother-in-law wants to do self-storage. I was like, oh yeah, if you tend to give me a call, I'll talk him through it. I thought, perfect, I'll get a phone call for that, because whatever this man wants to charge me, I'm going to charge our brother-in-law. So anyway, arrange for this guy to give me a call. So he gives me a call, and he's like, yeah, it's really good. So you basically pay like £400 a month, and you have an expert, and he spends time with you over the phone, and he'll talk you through on ways of how to get the mortgages. And I was like, wow, just run me through this first of all. I said, because how can you get a mortgage if, for argument's sake, if you pay low tax or don't earn enough, because obviously they're only going to lend you 4.5 to 5 times your annual salary. So if you wanted to buy a property that's 500,000, and you're only earning 30 grand a year, like have you got a way around it? Have you got like a way of balancing the mortgage, or is there anything oh well, if you pay the money we can let you know? And I'm thinking, of course, absolute lies. And there is nothing more, as Brad has learned, hard work, determination. That's the secret. That is the secret.
Yeah, no, it does go back to that. Like, I feel like for someone that's a builder, it's like it's a very genuine job in this world. Like, it's hard work. It's not the easiest career path I could have chosen for myself.
You can't sort of skid through. When you go work in an office, you can kind of skid through working in an office. You go work in somewhere, you can always kind of hide away a little bit, in some space. You can, because you can always hide behind somebody else, and there's always somebody else to pick up the slack. in the building, there's no place to hide. Even
No, because you
do it,
grass
don't-
them in, don't you? As we
Yeah,
said on the
either
last
you-
podcast.
yeah.
Where is he? There.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
over
you
there,
do or you
tucked
don't.
away in the
So
corner.
you either get into it or you don't, because the proof is in the pudding. You get paid for what you prove you can
Yeah.
do, not for what you say you can do. And building's very much all about that. So it is, but
Yeah, I
And-
think there's some
it's not
very-
something necessary you want to get right into on
A
Christmas
great question.
Eve.
A
but-
great question you said earlier, and I'll go back to it. Was more so when you were saying earlier about what it's like with me talking to older people in business, and something I feel like a lot of younger people need to take into effect. It's like talking to older people doesn't change anything. You're still a person. You're still like I chat to you the exact same way I would chat to anyone. Because that's just the way I am. I'm not false. I'm
So you
not.
treat them all like prigs.
But no.
Just because he's dressed like an elf.
Yeah.
Jay looks
Why
banging.
would you-
Wait,
why
Jay
would you
looks
don't-
banging. Don't disrespect
Thank
him
you.
like that. Look,
Thank
he's
you.
in his
La,
white
la,
I don't even know who
with
this
the dressing
is.
gown
Who
and
is that?
flexing the Rolex like it's
It matches the
everything.
colour. It's the
Yeah,
blue
see,
suit.
I like
It's
it.
the
See,
blue
the
suit.
Rolex is still there,
It's
even when you're not,
class.
even when you're in your pajamas. See, I would do the same. So
No, but going to it, it's just like there's speaking to you guys doesn't change it for me. Like I feel like people older, I find more curious. Because
Yeah.
they have so much of stories,
wealth
and so
of
much
knowledge.
knowledge. I appreciate that, and a lot of younger people
See,
probably
listen,
are
Billy,
afraid of
I know
it.
who I'm talking
But I
about.
feel like it's your biggest strength when you're younger, because like people can't predict you. You're unpredictable because you're youth, and they just don't understand. A lot of people don't understand as an older people, the younger generation, and they just think we've had it easy in comparison to your past generations who have lived a much harder life. You guys have.
Yeah.
And our generation's had it easy.
I think
in
we had to work
comparison.
harder. That was all. I
We-
think
we
it's
had it
just
a
like
lot.
we didn't. Yeah, but you didn't have all the millionaires, the billionaires, you didn't have Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff. So you didn't see any of that stuff. So if someone had money, unless you had money yourself, you were never in that environment. So you were always kind of just brought up with people like yourself. So there wasn't really. There was a few people who stood out, nothing major, and it wasn't like it is now. It's so money driven now. It's boring. It's boring. We've lost. If you haven't got any money, you can't do anything in life.
Well, Instagram's just become a big ad.
Well,
as
you can't
That's
even do
something.
anything now.
Well, yeah,
You can't like. This is like.
Well, you look at it. You go. You went on the. Was it called Polar Express?
Yeah, when I played.
So how much was that for the three of you?
£160 for 2 hours.
Fuck me.
Wow.
Not cheap, is it?
No.
When you add the burden of that till Christmas, right? So you look at it from my point of view. I'm looking at it. We're self-employed builders technically.
Yeah.
Already we've got a company, you're still self-employed. So we're self-employed builders. I always feel like builders at this time of year, this is a good time. It's just like 2 weeks off. Oh, by the way, at the end of January, you get your fucking tax bill. So you're like, oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
This is the worst time of the year for us because it's like 2 weeks off. And you always say, oh, I plan for it. I know a lot of builders that do, but there's a lot that don't.
Of course.
And I feel sorry for those guys at the moment because it's like we could really do with the extra work and they're probably going to work over Christmas because it's just not the holiday it can be. Me and Mickey, I'll never forget, we drove in there. We said, like, one Christmas, we're going to go in over Christmas, get greedy and earn a bit of cash. So we drove all the way to, it was like the 26th, so it was 27th. So 27th of December. So first time we've ever tried it, going in for work over Christmas. Drive all the way to Weymouth. Get to the site, look at it, it's fucking horrible, it's gloomy day. I know the families all getting together later on in the day, and I think I'm not going to be there for that, and all that sort of stuff. And I said to Mickey, who was looking, and I was just like, I don't even fancy getting out of the fucking van, to be fair. Mick's like, nah. I said, let's go to the shop and have a bacon sandwich, see how we feel. So we went to the shop, got a bacon sandwich and a cup of tea, and got back in the van and went, should we just go home? And I went, yeah. I said, let's just do it. So me and Mickey drove all the way to Weymouth, looked at the job, went, fuck that, and just drove all the way back. And that was our working experience of going to work over Christmas. And then after that, me and Mickey have always made that thing of never fucking ever going to do that ever again. It was the worst waste of 2 hours of our lives, really.
Yeah.
But it was like, because we just knew, as soon as we got in the van, that we just didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
But we still tried to do it. And I feel sorry for guys that have to do that over Christmas because of the burden of whatever it is, especially now. Because it's like this, they were talking about it all now. Oh, they started the sales early in the shops and all this shit because of everybody's
Yeah,
struggling.
but what's
with the money
crazy
and-
is the different thing, right? Is right now the government is saying inflation's going down. Isn't that slightly worrying? Because right now Christmas period is the busiest time
I
of
don't
year
understand this
for
shit, so-
businesses, but inflation's just like how much. Well, yeah, it's
how
inflation.
well
Yeah,
the country's
yeah.
doing, and
Pretty much is like the percentage of.
Do you
what-
understand it, Jake?
I have a limited
I
I have a
can't really
limited
text, but
understanding,
definition.
but the one thing that massively scares me, and talking about this on a Christmas podcast is the interest rate. Like I'm what 37, and this is the highest I've ever seen it. So for me, I'm looking. Oh my right on the Polar Express, you get a little list. Right, what you want from Father Christmas? I've got a guy sat next to me. He must be like mid to late 60s, quite smart, had a really nice camera. So I thought I'll write a couple of silly things. So anyway, he's looked over and he's gone, oh, what have you wrote? And I put lower.
Fucking thing.
No, fairly sensible. I was like, oh, lower interest rates. And he went, well, that's not very fair. He said, you've had them low for years, right? He said, what have you got for number 2? I went, tax people with savings more. He went, brilliant. He said, so I get
that's me getting lost out there.
So I get nothing. He said, I get nothing on the interest rate and I get taxed on it. I was like, exactly. And do you know what? That's what's really scary is the fact that interest rates are so high, and the algorithm for mortgages was 4.5 to 5 times the annual salary at 1.34%. Now interest rates are at 6-ish, around that. And now, how are people going to afford to buy the exact same house? Because if they can't, if they're strapped at like 1.34%, if it's like, you know, $2,000 a month and it's there, imagine what it's going to be like when they come for renewing the mortgage and it's at 6, 7, 8%.
Yeah, those people
they're going to be screwed.
Yeah.
Because the
There's a lot of
affordability.
people who
Do you remember we
have
spoke about this on the
renewals
first
on
podcast, and it was like we said, we turn around and go like, rental properties are going to have to go up in rental value because the like you say, all the buy-to-let mortgages, everything's expired, all the interest rates are going up, so everybody's going to get caught out on that. This is where they're all going to get thrown in the fucking social housing because they're going to have nothing left.
Well, I think these monthly
Because it's gonna
repayments are
clean-
going to
I've
go
seen
up
this
massively.
before.
It's just how people are going to afford
I've seen
that.
this before growing up, and I'll never forget. My dad had just built a house. I said, and it was about Christmas time when we moved as well, I think. But we had a house in Southam, and we built a house in Ashley Heath. Now, we had to put both the houses up for sale, see which one sold first, because of the credit crunch. You know, it came, and it was like, fucking, mate, interest rates. If I remember rightly, and don't judge me for this.
You saying 15% time era?
It was, and it was like, I don't even like, comprehend how that would be. So if you imagine it now, we'd have borrowed, I don't know, say £200,000, and 3 years ago, you're coming out to renewing your mortgage now, and you're going like, that 200 grand it was costing you, I don't know, 500 quid a month.
Yeah.
Now it's costing you 1,500, £2 grand a month.
Yeah.
And you think, how the fuck? And then you got all this Christmas now, and you got people like time off. The guys are everybody's having time off work. You're not earning the money. People are not coming in and spending the money in the shops because they haven't got the money. So Christmas has become quite hard. And I think we're all like, I'd like to think we're all putting a brave face on it in the specs of like, it's Christmas now. Come on, let's all like we're going into Christmas, really excited about Christmas. Nice bit of time. I'll spend some time with the family. Do the things you should do at Christmas, and I love that. That's what it's all about. But you do have this underlying tone that just worries the fuck out of me. That what's going to happen next year? You know, and I hate it, the fact that we've even gone into this discussion on Christmas Eve, but
it's a hot topic in our minds at the moment.
Yeah,
That's
it's just
something
like,
to
it's
say.
quite sad.
If we're thinking it, other people are thinking it.
Yeah, it's not
to
just,
address
I'm worried, it's just like a bit of a sad thing, because you just look at it and just think, fuck, we're on the verge of something horrible. I can feel it coming. And I've been through 2 or 3 recessions in my time as growing up, and I've seen the effects it's had on my family. I've seen the effects it's had on me. You all feel the effects of this. And it's such a shit thing that's happening. There's nothing we can do to stop it because we can't change it. We're just 3 people sat in a room on a Friday night having a drink and chatting on a fucking bunch of microphones. But it worries me a little bit. But I also look at it and just think, well, that is Christmas. That's next year. Well, what about it? Fuck it.
So, talking of Christmas, what's in Santa's sack then for Steve? What's when you put your hand in Santa's sack? What are you
Do you know
going
what
to
I really want this year, right? This is going to sound really fucking stupid, but I really wanted one because I think it'd be quite cool. I just don't know what it's going to be like in here. One of those space buddies. It's like a little file.
Something that projects the thing onto the I saw that on Instagram.
So
he's been going on about it for
I thought,
ages.
actually, this might be pretty cool. So I just, there might be a load of shit. I really don't know, but it looks quite cool. So I've fallen for it, right? So I'd like to think I got one, right? Because I think it'd be brilliant. I'll probably find out I haven't got a socket in the right place so I can shine it up. So that'd be really fucking annoying. But I want to get one.
Maybe doing a Galaxy podcast.
Because I think, then we can have that. You know, it might just add a cool effect to the ceiling. So That's what I'm hoping for. So that's.
Oh, okay. What about Brad? What's in the?
Well, no, I'm actually going
Girlfriend.
to ask you a question, Jay.
Oh, okay. Go on then.
So I had my little story.
Okay.
I want to hear yours now, and I feel like it's right for you to come out and say what you do really as a person, and I'm just
Little bit of a
background
backstory.
to you, Jay.
Little bit of
'Cause
background.
I want all of it. I want the little part when you were a red coat at Butlins.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Now I want to talk about this quickly, right? Because there's a
'cause
claim
I want this
to
to come out
fame
now.
here, right? And I only found this. Like I've known Jay for 9 years. I think it is 8-9 years. And I never
just
knew
dropped a
this.
bit of podcast
And,
knowledge.
Yeah, I'm going to drop a little bombshell in respect of Jay because I was really surprised by this. So Jay used to be a red coat, right? Now, the red coat at Butlins.
Yeah.
Butlins,
Shout out
eh?
to the red coats.
But not only was he red coat, he was
Fuck the
the,
blue coats.
youngest ever red coat.
Yeah, I
at
was.
17 years old.
Yeah.
And are you right? And it could be checked, so it could be different. But
Yeah.
you're still the youngest ever
I'm
red
still.
coat.
I'm 99.9% sure I was still the youngest known redcoat because
Go figure.
What happened was I had the interview, and I turned up to this interview. It was Minehead, and I turned up, and I was 17 years old, and I didn't really know what to expect because the problem was I'd been in and out of jobs, everything from working at Liverpool Victoria to doing hairdressing and all sorts of anything in between. It was horrendous, and go for the interview. And I've arrived there, and there's guys there that can sing and play the guitar, and there's girls that are going, I've wrote all these games for kids. And I'm thinking, I've got a Burberry baseball cap on and a couple of sovereign rings on. This was cool back in the day, right? And the guy come over, chuffs, and he was like, so, James, what can you do? And I've done no more. I've picked up some geezer's phone, I've picked up an apple off the side and someone's wallet and just started juggling. And he's like, yeah, you red coat material, right? And he just walked off. And I was like,
That's
well,
it.
perfect. That was it. There's 200 people behind me and I've just got the job. I can't do anything. And that was my welcoming into the red coat experience, which I've done that for
And you did that at Minehead.
Minehead.
Yeah, I used to go to Minehead with my nan when I was a kid. They used to have a massive lake there, and you get these Indian fucking canoes, and you start canoe.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
really?
we'd be out. Me and my brother would be out there for hours.
Now,
To the
it's
point
another
where it pissed
question.
me off, and I want to push him off the boat.
So what was some of the experiences you had as a red coat?
Are we going to go? No.
Yeah,
Well,
go on.
no.
We've had this discussion before.
Well,
This is why I dropped a bit of podcast knowledge.
There's
from Jay on this one.
definitely
Right.
some experiences.
Thank God your wife knows about most
Yeah,
of this stuff
100%.
by now.
So right, Mike. So obviously, looking at me, I'm 5'6.5". I'm not the most
you
stunning
really
of
got a
people.
big point on this 5'6.5".
Yeah. Because every
What
woman.
is this little half?
Right, because there's not much height to me, so I need to nick
You
everything
need to
where I
add
can.
everything you can.
The problem is I can't stand there and say I'm 5'7" because that sounds tall. And if
You
you say
can round it up. You can round it up.
No,
if
I
it's a
can't.
0.5, you can round it up.
5.7
Mind you
sounds
saying
too
that,
tall.
to be fair, Jay, I'm 5'11.5".
Exactly.
See?
Boom.
'Cause
There
I'm
we
nearly,
go.
nearly 6
Okay,
foot,
you guys
but
are being way
I've
too
shrunk.
precise
Yeah,
about this.
But definitely is.
But
Right,
if-
so the bad thing is, right, and I hate to say
So
this
if you're going to
here-
talk about penis size, if we're going to talk about penis size,
Yeah.
are you throwing in the half-inch or
yeah,
not?
yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, you got to chuck
Oh,
every
yeah.
quarter-inch in there, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Every meal counts. Especially at my age.
But yeah, so yeah, there was definitely an experience. There was one. So the story goes right. So we'd arrived. I was a first red coat I was arrived at the place and there's no guests, so it's just literally all staff and people that are working there. And I think I just at that point, or I was coming 18, or I was still 17. Anyway, we've arrived there. Everything's great, and I didn't realise how attractive red coats were, because obviously I've always been small and ugly, so I've had to usually charm women, right? But this was another level. So I've sat down at this party and we're having a few drinks, and this girl comes up to me and she's chatting to me and she's like, yeah, so I work as one of the people behind the stage. She's at the other end. I'm like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. And she's gone, oh, do you want to fuck? And I'd only slept with one girl before this,
right.
and I'm like, okay, sex it is then. So I basically pick up my briefcase, because Jen's like, my wife always says, I'm like Will out of in between us. She's like, you're just a briefcase wanker. So I pick up my briefcase and I take this girl back to my accommodation. So I'm there with her, right? And my cousin, he was always a bit of a legend with the women. And obviously, as a young guy, I've always looked up to him, not because he's 6'2", but he's always, dated very good very good looking women, and he'd always said to me, like, I'll give you the best bit of advice. You gotta like hold it. If you imagine your winky, you gotta hold it, and then you have to find it with your thumb, and then you hoof as much as you can in, right? So obviously, again, I wasn't that experienced. Yeah, listen, I trusted cousin Chris. He told me.
So we're now giving sex lessons
Yeah,
out.
he told me what to do.
Don't listen to him, kids.
100%.
I'm gonna make this YouTube video definitely not for kids.
100%. It was the best advice I ever got given, right?
Come on.
So I'm in the bedroom, okay? Lights are out, and of a man of that era, I did put on a condom. I wanted to protect myself, right? So I'm in.
fair.
So
Strap up.
Strap it up. So I find the magic hole in the dark. And I'm in, right? And the first thing I thought was, it's warm in here. Every man will know then women are running at least 10 degrees above the height of men, right? They are hot stuff, right?
It's like a plug-in point.
Yeah,
isn't it?
100%. So I'm on top. I'm in the missionary position and I'm going for it. Now this girl is about 5-6 years older than me. I've only ever slept with like one person before this, so I'm not that experienced. I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll spice it up. I'll let her think like I'm this like sexual deviant. So I like get her legs up and just lift them over her head like Stavros, right? So I'm there doing the move, right? Anyway, I get this absolutely god awful smell, right? There is absolutely vile, right? So what I do is I slightly, because it's dark, I sniff my thumb. I sniff my thumb, right? And I'm like, no, it's not. That's absolutely fine, right? So that's fine. So I couldn't work it out what the smell was. So if you imagine, I've got these legs up, I've turned the lights on to reposition, not that I knew any other positions in life, and I look down upon her bottom, and you know if you eat lots of chocolate, you get a little chocolate ring around your mouth. It was all flaky.
No, that's disgusting.
The bum hole, right? So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So if you imagine, I've got this winking eye like, looking at me, and I never forget her. I never forget her.
Oh my God.
I never forget. She said to me, she's holding her legs and she's looking at me. She's going, "What's wrong? Just fuck me." And I have come up with the quickest thing that I could think of. And I was like, I can't. I'm gay, right? So she's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gay, right?" So with that, she's picked up all her stuff and like left. And yeah, that was like,
Oh my God.
At that point, that was my first ever point at Butlins. Like before anyone got there, that was it. I was just like, wow,
What an experience.
Yeah,
dude.
I could have been gay. I could have been gay.
That
after
could have made you gay. I think.
Yeah,
that was
100%.
maybe a point.
Yeah, that was a. So what's my backstory? Slightly twisted.
So we got a bit off track now.
yeah.
Let's go back to it. So like, let's tell.
Right. So do you want to? So
I want to hear like where you are at in life.
where am I at now?
Where you are now. Like,
So at the moment
Sat in the Bonners bar.
sat in the
Well, no
Bonners
shit.
bar. At the moment, I've got two what I'd like to call micro companies because we're not anything big or anything like that. You've got a self-storage business, so we do the 20-foot shipping containers that we rent out, which was actually started like every business I've got into, right, has actually been started through not really trying. So believe it or not, I used to be a car valet and I watched my dad wash his American cars. I was like 7, watched dad wash his car and I thought, I could do that for money. Get a bucket and a sponge and go and knock on the neighbour's door. Can I wash your car, mate? Yeah, he comes out with 2 buckets. But the problem was I didn't know what to do with the soapy one. So I just tipped it away, right? Got this like clean water thing, wiped it over, cleaned the car, got £2. And I started a car valeting business and subsequently was the first one in my primary school to have a mobile phone. But the problem is when you've got a mobile phone when you're like 8, right? The thing is,
Taking bookings.
people call up at school and it was like, well, I'm at school till 3:30, right? So obviously, moving forward, like from that age to like 18, I started it and it was called Grubby Car. So I started Grubby Car. And then what happened was I was like moving about and bits and pieces. And I was like, I need to take on an office because I could do with a static address because one of my invoices from Wilcox Wash Supplies didn't get paid. So he rang me up and said to me, you got to pay your bill. And I was like, oh shit. So I thought, right, I'll take on a little office. So I go, I come out the local barbers in Ferndown and estate agents was shutting down. So I've gone in, I was like, oh guys, can I buy a desk and a chair and a set of drawers? Because I've just got an office. And they were like, no, but for £150, you can buy the whole office. And it was like a 6-man call centre.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, cool. So I empty out my little grubby car van, and I've got this office, and so I load it all up, put it in the van, go back to the office. It's up a big flight of stairs, so I rang up my dad. And my dad come down, and I said, Dad, I've got a bit of a problem. He said, what's that? I opened up the back of the van, and he went, fucking hell, Doughboy, what are you going to do with all that office furniture? I went, don't worry, Dad, I'll flog what I don't need, right? So we get it all upstairs, set up one desk.
Wheeler dealer.
Yeah, the wheeler dealer. So we set up one desk, and that's it, perfect. So what happened was, I advertised it on Gumtree and sold it all like that. And the problem was, I was back to square one again, because the last desk that I actually didn't have for sale, a woman coming in and said, oh, can I buy your desk? And I went, well, that's my only desk now. And she went, well, do you want to sell it? And I went, well, fuck it, yeah, all right. So I sold it to her. So I was back to square one again. So I've got an office with nothing in it. Right?
700 quid in your bank.
Yeah, and ended up with selling it and making profit. So when you're in the service industry, like car valeting, you only get paid for the amount of hours you work with your hands.
Yeah.
Sales had taught
Build
me you had been able to make more money,
definitely.
but you can't guarantee it because it's sales. So you might have a load of sales come in and you might have nothing. And then subsequently ended up buying 30 desks. I thought I was buying 30 desks for 900 quid because I was like, oh, that's about £30 a desk. That should be all right. So I turned up with this van, and it was like, oh no, you've not bought 30 desks for 900 quid. You bought 30 desks, 30 chairs, 30 sets of drawers. My dad's like, fucking hell, where are we going to put all this?
Wow.
So now I'm having to hide all this stuff where I've got my office, right? I'm hiding it in the toilets. I've got nowhere to bloody put all this stuff. And it is chaos. Yeah. And then that was the birth of Three Counties.
Wow.
And then the storage ended up being really similar. I needed a container, and a friend of mine had a yard, Dave Forest Transport, shout out to David. I was like, oh, David, can I put a container in your yard? He said, yeah, of course. I said, I need a bit of storage. So he said, oh, I've got you one on order, so it'll be in Monday. I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll try and rent one out, and then if we can, we'll rent it out and we'll make a bit of money together. He's like, oh, yeah, perfect. So do the advert, the container arrives, and the customers rang me and said, oh, can I take it straight away? I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I rang David up, oh, shit, yeah, I need another container. Someone else is taking it. Oh, okay, no dramas. Got me another one. Someone else took that. And it snowballed and it snowballed.
Wow.
It snowballed. Now we're over 100 containers, 120
That's
foot
crazy.
shipping
That's a great
containers.
story, dude.
So the birth of each business has been an organic.
It's
Yeah,
just
it
been
sort of
slow
stumbled along
progress, and
into
you've
it. Yeah, but you
invested a
saw
long
the
time.
opportunity.
Yeah.
That's
so how
the
long have
difference.
you?
So
how long's
you had
Three
that
Counties?
spark in you to find that opportunity. Someone else wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
They'd have gone, no, what the fuck do I want? Like 5, 6 desks for at the start.
Yeah.
And they'd have gone, no, I just want the desk. If you don't want to sell a desk, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But you saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's finding your niche in the market, isn't it?
Yeah.
nowadays? And that's what we've done with building. It's like we found like building for us was our sort of niche. It's the dying trade, and the fact there's not enough new people coming into it. There's too many old people leaving it. So that's like the bulk of the problem. But for our sake, if we're looking as an investment of our time, in 10 years' time, there's going to be a massive shortage in builders needed in this world we're living in. And if we invested our time, me learning this craft and taking on all this skill to go build shit, it's going to become a value working with your hands. So it's actually a great investment for me to put my time into that.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same for like you found your niche in storage, because storage, once you've got all your overheads paid off, you've got this nice
Yeah, residual income
Yes.
just coming in
and
all
it's
the
just-
time.
that's going to be your
But rent-
retirement.
Do you know what?
That'll pay for your retirement.
Do you know what's really nice is your business and my business, AI can't steal it.
No.
Right?
Can't touch
No,
it.
it
I
can't.
don't
It's
think
not
you can
AI
touch
proof.
it.
No, it can't. It can't.
And
Yeah,
Unless-
because you can't mirror a builder. You can't mirror a building site. You look how level it is, and I'm flat, and you're walking around, there's dips and drops. You couldn't have a robot build it because they couldn't cope with the environment, the terrain, and things like that. So
Well, that takes me
there's
back
no
to my
way
kitchen.
of sort of replacing this.
That takes me back to my kitchen because obviously when I had the kitchen designed, they had put that into CAD or put that into a kitchen design software. Click the button and they've gone, well, this is how your kitchen should be. And you just walked in and went, well, that don't bloody work. And
Yeah, but
turned it
also
round.
I've been with these kitchen designers. It's just like it's very generic.
Yeah.
Because it's just they design a kitchen, sell a kitchen, aren't
Right.
they?
So, what would you say as an experience for like building right now? So you see, like in terms of creativity, this would be an interesting one because you have a lot more experience than I do in this. So, in terms of creativity, do you feel like the building industry's got more creative or less creative? in its time now. So let's say over the past.
I think the
since your
world's
experience.
the world's proven we've got more creative, but I don't think necessarily here so much. You know,
Yeah.
you look at it, you go to Singapore. We've said all this before. You know, you talk to all these foreign countries and like different countries and stuff like that, and they've done so much. They've really kind of gone flamboyant and they've gone all out. The architectural design is clever, and it's like you're now leaving statements for the future.
Yeah.
What we're not really doing that in the UK because we don't see anything in it.
I don't think houses are going to last. Like all these
No
quick
way.
new builds, I don't think they're going to be around like what the old stuff is.
No.
Oh, the old
No,
stuff
no,
was
no,
built
no.
to last. This new stuff
I mean,
is not.
like the progression of housing is like we've said this before, but the progression of housing is very generic. It hasn't really changed much. Blah blah blah. Just box building. It's just box building. It's just cash machine. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's a cash cow, and it'll always be that way because we have that requirement for properties. You know, not everybody can afford to go out and just go, oh, you know, I'd love to bang this big extension on the back of the house, and I'd love to have my garden all landscaped. And people can't afford it. People can't even think about it because it's just not in their thinking. They don't go around to people's houses where it's like that. So generally, it all comes from like back to greed. You know, if
Yeah.
you want, I want the best house. It's like, you know, I know people who put swimming pools in their gardens and everything else out, but don't necessarily, like, I get
It's
why
not
you
the
do
right
it.
country to have swimming pools. in
Yeah, I
for
get
one.
why you
That's
do
just
it,
stupid.
but
Unless
you
it's
know, it's
indoors.
quite. If
Yeah.
you're looking at it from a builder's perspective and turn around and advising a client on what to do in the house, unless you live in the top 1%, it's probably not worth bothering because other people won't appreciate it.
It costs a fortune to run as well, doesn't
no,
it?
Oh, yeah,
no,
they're
that
massive
you go to
overhead.
sell the house in time to come. It puts as many people off as it would put people because people are then looking and going, "Oh, fucking swimming pool, look after."
I don't know if I'd want a swimming pool.
I wouldn't.
If, I
No,
don't,
I wouldn't. I
It's a
mean,
cool
I like
lu-
a- I
it's
like the idea of
cool
a bar.
luxury, but if you're in a 30-degree country, this unfortunately
there's
does
certain
not have the
days, like,
climate.
certain days every year, we'd all agree with that. There's certain days every year you come home from work and go, oh my God, I'd love to have a pool in the
Yeah,
garden. And you
I
see
agree
someone's
with
got a
that,
pool
yeah.
in the garden, you go, fuck. You know, bastard. Because we got to go to the beach or something, and then that's a faff, isn't it? So then you look at it and just go home, take your clothes off, dive in your pool. Fuck, man, there's nothing better than that. Especially if your kids are already in there. So you
Yeah.
do look at it and go, there's like some massive advantages. But how many days a year does that actually happen? If you were in Florida, you know, I've been watching a program and literally the whole time the guy's got an outdoor bar in his garage, right? So it's quite cool. I just to me, it's just a bit of me. So he's done all his garage out. He's got couch out there, nice TV. He's even got like proper furniture, so you know, like drawers. Then under his thing, he's got a pool table, outside fridge. It's just basically outside. And I think it's just that is the weather every single day.
Oh,
and
can you imagine living like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Imagine.
it's like I'd love to have that. Imagine it now, like Christmas, and you just open these doors up, have all this open. It's just like fucking summer. Like there's part of me that would just love that.
Bring on global warming for
Yeah.
England.
Shout out to the thing behind us. That looks like a nice place, doesn't it?
God.
Yeah. Oh, Chris,
Jesus.
Oh,
So
Chris,
the
Chris
100 inch
Luna, the
TV,
DJ.
right?
So
Yeah.
people can't see what we're looking at.
Yeah, we're
okay?
actually
we're
looking
looking
at
at
100
100 inches of
And
TV.
sadly, Billy as well.
and Billy, we're looking at Billy. But
Unfortunately.
We tried to forget about him, though.
Yeah,
but
we
how
try.
can we forget Billy? But what you're seeing on that TV is what we're looking at on 100 inches. So from what you can see there, it is stunning. And do
Yeah.
you know what? That's another random story about the big monster TV. Like,
Yeah.
Steve? Tell me, where did your
Well, I think
where did
to
your
me- I
F1
think
car come
let's-
from?
all right, I think,
Shout out
right,
Jay.
if we're gonna
Shout
do
out Jay.
like this, like to kind of prove Jay's like the wheeler dealer, and he is right. We got an F1 card out, right? I suppose just explain this little story on its own. So the F1 car, so 1 in 4 scale model of Jensen Buttons, 2010, I think, is the year. I could be wrong. F1 fans, I apologise.
Shout out
But
Jensen Button.
That's what it is. So it was
Shout out Vodafone.
basically it was made by a specialist model company. I got to the root of the whole thing of how it's made, and it's made on license by McLaren. So it has one design flaw in it, so it can't be used in a wind tunnel. So it's a very rare piece. Where did I get it from? This man here. So Jay phones me up. He goes, "I'm in this. I think."
Hang on.
Actually,
So
yeah, no,
wait.
you're probably better to
So
tell that
this
part
is-
of the story.
This is the most random thing. This is the most random thing. Get a phone call. Hi, can you come up and have a look at this office furniture? Do you want to buy it? And I'm like, yeah, of course. So I fly up to London, and I'm looking around. It's all bench desking. And one thing about bench desking, COVID ruined bench desking as well, because it's the whole thing
What's
of
bench desk?
if you imagine desks that are all like benched together, so you got like a metal framework
Oh,
and
yeah,
everyone sits
yeah,
together.
yeah.
It's all that crap, and I'm like, oh, I don't want bench desking.
No, that's
So,
shit.
so I was like, oh, not really for me. I'm still looking around anyway. And it's a library in London that's used as a self-storage facility, which is sick, can I say? And they had this thing tucked around the back, and I went, oh, what are you doing with that? And they went, oh, the director's selling it. I was like, how much do you want for it? And they went, oh, we want $1,000. And I went, I said, let's tell you what, there's 4 scabby-looking chairs over there.
Herman
Can I?
Miller's.
Yeah. Shout out Herman Miller.
I knew it.
Of course, the Herman Millers.
I knew it.
I was like,
because
I tell
that's who you're always on the hunt for them things.
Honestly. I was like, throw in 4 of them scabby-looking old horrible chairs, and I'll do it for $1,000. So obviously they were like, yeah. So I got these Herman Miller Aerons, 4 of them, and I got this F1 car.
Let's just clear this up, right? Jay told me he paid $1,000 just for the car. So now I find they paid $1,000 for just the car and 4 Herman Millers, which we do ourselves.
No,
for more
it was
than
because
the car.
it was. No, what it was I only paid $1,000 for the car. Right, the chairs were a gift. They
Yeah,
were
they
they were
were
just a gift.
They were a freebie.
And then subsequently, what happened was I rang Steve up and was like, Steve, you won some car that apparently, like no one knew how they had acquired it, because I've never even seen anything like this for sale.
No.
So,
Well, when I turn
spice
out,
it up.
when
There
I
you go,
turn
just a
out and I
variety, you
talked to the people that built it, and they turned around and said it was like they made I think 3 of them, and he said it took us 6 months to work out how to paint it, because to get that metallic colour. He said they
It's a
found,
wicked looking F1
Oh, that's
car.
not wrapped.
no, that's a paint. And they turned around and they phoned McLaren up and gone, how can we have like some of the paint, like to paint?
You
the
sure it's
model?"
McLaren? It does say Mercedes-Benz on there.
No, it's McLaren. It's McLaren. I know it is because it says on the front.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, McLaren Mercedes.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's when McLaren Mercedes was together with Vodafone. So, yeah, and they said, well, look, we had to work it out. So he said, you fucking work it out. It took them 6 months to work out how to paint that.
No way.
And he was like, he turned around to me and went, how the fuck have you got it? He said, that one you've probably got there was probably for the CEO of Vodafone. And I said, well, he must have got it. He must have got it and put it.
Chase fucked off now.
We'll wrap up the F1 story because we just don't want to know where that ends up.
But
then
it is for sale for $50,000. If someone wants
We'll put a
it,
little price tag on there.
$50,000.
I don't know, like.
Come on, invite offers.
So if anyone
Invite
wants a
I've had, to
Ferrari
be fair,
as well.
I've had a lot of offers in its time. I've had a lot of offers for various different things. The surfboard is the one.
Yeah.
100 grand.
Yeah, because I mean, the surfboard is the one because there's one of I think it's 400. We tried to find them and they just don't exist.
Yeah.
So,
But that's one of 3.
I know.
That's got to
Yeah,
be
that's
worth
a
more.
rarity.
Right? Why don't we allow people to bid on stuff? Anything you see is for sale. So all you got to do is
Jay
drop
first.
a bid.
So we're gonna-
drop a bid.
next
So you
week,
buy a
what we're
night
going
with
to
Jay
do-
Dowling.
Yeah,
and he
but-
can thumb you in.
So from now on next week, we're going to
Fucking
have
hell.
office furniture all lined up behind us with office
So, yeah, we're now
price
selling
tags.
chairs with
So,
tables, you know.
Shout out 3 counties.
No, but also all joking aside, so that was the story about the F1 car, and I think I bought it $2.5 grand. I still think it was a great buy, so I'm happy with
Best
that.
buy.
And then I remember getting a phone call from you one day, and you were phoning me out, going, Steve, I think I found a TV for the bar. And I was like, well, I don't think we'd actually decided it was for the bar, but I just found this TV, and I wonder if you might be interested. And then sent me this picture. And was it you?
No, it was
stood
my
next to
mate
it?
standing next
Yeah,
to
it was
it.
your mate. And
literally.
it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was
That's
98.
absolutely huge. You go, yeah, it's a 98-inch TV. He then sent me the spec on it, and if you bought a new one, it was like 14 grand.
Yeah, 14 grand.
And it was like, what the fuck?
Do you
I
know what was really funny
what's
about
the,
that?
What's the crack? How can we do a deal on this? No, I don't actually think. First of all, I thought it was 98 inches is just too fucking big. What the hell can I do with it? So I just kind of left it, I think, if I remember right.
My mind
And then I
draws a
think I
blank.
phoned you the next day and went, what are you doing with that telly? I don't know, but I've loaded it in the man. I said, how much do you want for it? He said, well, look, we can come to an arrangement.
Yeah.
And we did come
Yeah.
to an arrangement.
Yeah, I can't. It must have been something to do with the kitchen or something.
No, I think it was to do with... No, because we were doing other stuff before then, because we did all conversion.
Well,
So-
well, what's actually quite interesting about that TV was, again, another fun fact about the TV. So the company tried to sell it to me, okay? So I'm in there doing a clearance, and they're like, oh, do you want to buy anything? And I was like, oh, like, what have you got? They were like, we've got this 98-inch TV. And I was like, oh, how much?
Just standard, you know.
Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah, just have one of them
Just
laying
have one of
around.
them
in
in
there.
the office, you know.
And they were like, well, we want, I can't even remember what they wanted for it. They wanted $1,000 or something. I can't remember what they wanted. They wanted some money for it. So anyway, we had booked out these set days to do this clearance. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll have the TV. And then what happened was they rung me and said, oh, can we cancel off tomorrow, the next day, and the day after, but then have you guys come back in? Well, I'd sort of wingle-wangled it that, we were going to be pretty much finishing up anyway. So when I go back on that day they wanted us in, I was like, well, obviously I did have 3 guys standing around with no work on for you guys. So therefore, I still have to pay them. So therefore, I'm going to have to offset that against the TV cost. So they ended up paying me 180 quid to take it away. So I got a 98-inch TV and 180 quid to
And that
take
TV,
it.
let's face it,
Oh,
that
God.
TV made the first bar.
It did.
Because it
Oh,
turned
it's a
it from
walk.
a bar into a lounge bar, and then it was just a whole different dimension from there. Because
Which is-
that became my little sanctuary, as we all know, don't we, over the
Yeah.
years. And this is probably
Steve's
replacing it.
Palace. This
Yeah.
is version 4. This is version
Well,
4.
I think no, because I think we started off with the bar, didn't we? So we had the bar,
Oh,
then
then
we
you had the
added a
extension.
lounge bar, so
Yeah.
then that would have been 2.0, and then we added the extension, that's 3.0. So I think we're coming up to Bonner Bar 4.0 now. This one.
Can I say? Obviously, we're only on our third.
Yeah, just on the 4th
evolving.
one.
This is only our third podcast
Yeah,
video,
third, yeah, this is
but
our
I
third now.
believe we've got the sickest background.
Yeah, we're
Literally.
competing with
There's-
actual professional podcasters here.
Yeah.
And have never done this before
No,
either. So
literally. You might be able to tell from our content that we've never done it before, but you can't tell from our background.
Oh,
like-
sure,
our
but
background
yeah,
looks
sure.
solid, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
I think it's like everything, though, isn't it? Look, when we did all this, we did all the work here, and we turned this into a little soundproof room without really knowing what we were going to do with it. Well, it was always going to be my lounge and my bar, wasn't it? Cinnabar, as we've always said. And now it's turned into my freaking set for a podcast. And so far, it wasn't what I planned.
Showroom.
Well, oh, joking aside, you talk about the podcast. You say, like, I know people now. I've talked to people, and people are saying, "Oh, I'm listening to your podcast and all that sort of stuff." And everything, they must think, "What the fuck is going on with Steve at the moment?" Because he's like off doing, he's building all this money, never goes to work anymore. Because it doesn't seem like I ever leave the fucking house.
He's never. Yeah, would you ever
now
leave here?
Now
if
I've built this cinema. Yeah, I seem to be trapped in this room. It's like a freaking man cave that I can't get out of. And I get it because it can be so many different things. And I think that's why he's like a chameleon in this room.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole history, like behind this room and everything. That's all fine. But what I'm getting at is the podcast. It's like we decided 3 weeks ago, right? 3 weeks ago? Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
So how many podcasts have we done?
Three.
We've done 3.
Yeah, so we
we've
decided
done
3 weeks ago.
of
We
filming.
sat here 3
4
weeks ago,
4
had a
weeks.
chat. No, it was 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
Because
Oh,
we've only done
yeah,
2
yeah.
podcasts. This is the third one. So we sat here 3 weeks ago, had a chat, and just said, "Look, do you fancy doing a podcast? Do you fancy doing a podcast?" And it was like, "Yeah, let's do a podcast." What the fuck? 3 weeks later, we've not only done a podcast, we've done 3 podcasts. People are starting to listen to it. You're starting to hear people sort of talk about what they think of it and how they like you. Well, I don't know why. And everything else. How it's kind of like how people are starting to get into it. And I kind of love that because like the Friday
feeling
night
creative.
Yeah,
It's
the,
like
the
a
Friday night
productive
club
use
has
of
always
our
been a
time.
thing, and let's face it, Friday night club is probably a naughty little club that we started that we shouldn't have started back
when did it start, Steve?
Let's,
Would you like to talk
just
about
talk
that?
about like the intro of Friday night club. Like, I got to be honest about this, right? As much as it's like a naughty thing to do, we shouldn't have done it, but we were sort of sensible about it.
I think
Yeah,
realistically,
so-
you're not the only person that's done
Lockdown,
this. let's
right?
be honest.
Lockdown.
Boris
You can't
Johnson was
you
guilty of
can't
this
go
as
out,
well.
Yeah. So he's got fucking videos of it. We didn't do that. It's like we started in lockdown. It was like we all got fucking trapped in our houses, didn't we? So
100%,
they was
yeah.
allowed out for an hour to do some exercise. So everybody came for a bit of exercise in our back field, which, funny enough, made their way into the bar. Just purely they were thirsty and they needed to use the toilet. So we felt it was the right thing to do. So we went outside while they came into the house.
You were in our bubble. Do you remember everyone used to use that
Yeah.
term? You
So,
were in
yeah, the
bubbles.
Friday night club sort of started off as a naughty little boy. Well, no, it wasn't a naughty little boys club because it was a naughty little
Person's
people's club.
club,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
a
Yeah,
people's
it's just
club.
like a
wasn't it? 'Cause-
meetup, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Chill,
mean, it was
meet
like
up.
it started off as like the family. You were the
None of us
first
got
day.
COVID either.
No, none of us
None
did.
of us got COVID, and we were always all mixing.
Yeah, but we were outside.
But we kind of stayed in our groups, didn't we?
Because
Our
the
bubble.
bar was outside,
Bubble.
because we had all the
Our
we had
bubble,
no covers
yeah.
on it, did we? So it was
Yeah.
open to the elements, so it was perfect to come
Yeah.
around and just spend a bit of time with somebody during
Yeah.
the week. So that's how Friday Night Club started. So that's what 3.5 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
No,
it all
4 years
started.
ago. 4 years ago. it was almost
We've
4 years.
literally fucking really, other than a handful of times, pretty much met up every Friday night.
Yeah, 100%.
How
Sad
scary is that to
fuckers.
say COVID was 4 years ago?
I know.
That's it's
Imagine
coming
the
up
shit
4
we'd have
years
come
old.
out with 4
COVID-19,
years worth of
isn't it?
Friday
Yeah,
night
yeah, that's what I
podcasts.
was
It would have been started like all those years ago. Oh my God, there'd have been some fucking outrageous things come out of that.
I reckon it would have been
Some of the things that we've talked about, some of the conversations we've had through those Friday nights has just been unreal.
See, I wonder
That's what
if-
started this.
I
Yeah,
wonder if
the
this is
idea.
if this is where it's going to end up. You know, are people going to look at this? Are people going to feel like they are part of it? You know, because everyone's welcome to the bar, right? It's not in my bar, but everyone's welcome to the bar, right?
Yeah, you could book
You know,
appointments via
I
our
don't know
Iconic
if I was
project.
going to say everyone, Jay.
Everyone's welcome to the bar.
Yeah, because you've got to be a
I've
little
got
bit careful,
VIP
because there's only so many
pass.
people that can
Yeah.
get inside here. But
Just call me 07.
yeah, you'll sell you some fucking furniture, but you'll get a night in the bar for it.
It's like welcoming people into our Friday. This is
Yeah,
what
I
we
know.
do weekly, and
Yeah,
we're
I know.
blessed. How lucky are we
Yeah, I
with
know.
everything that's going on at the moment?
Yep,
with things, we're in this amazing set to be able to like relax,
And
talk
be able to do
about
it
our
with your
Friday
friends as well.
stuff.
Be able to do it with friends, family. You know, Billy's involved now as well. It's all coming together as part of this sort of family of Lost Art Iconic Projects, the whole fucking thing of what we're doing. And it's kind of cool that it's all coming together like that, because this like goes back to this Christmas scenario, doesn't it? It's like we're like family. And we're not family, but you can pick your friends, can't you, as they say? And we're like family. Brad is family. So,
How long have you known him for?
yeah.
Every podcast. Right, we're moving on from this. It's never being brought up again. I made a mistake in the documentary, and it got fucking filmed, didn't it? And then Bailey's
was
put
like-
it in there.
I think
Fuck
let's just
you,
answer the
Bailey.
question. Bailey, our videographer, asked Brad how long he'd known me. So Brad
Caught
thought
me
it'd
off
be
guard
quite good
completely.
to sort of kind of go, like, I will actually answer that question. He was like, I've known him, pretty much, what the fuck? And he's made this mistake, and we've kept it in the documentary because it's just
Wankers.
fucking comedy genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he can't sort of let it go, really, because that's the joys of building
That's
a
going to
family,
become
isn't
my well-known little fact, isn't it? So everyone's going to go up to me and go, Brad, so how long you know your dad for? I'm going to go, fuck off. Just fuck off.
it? We got him.
Wankers.
We got it. It's a bit like the Crazy Walk.
Yeah.
See,
No.
you did that
Yeah.
thinking, I'll never be in it. And
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's in
Yeah.
there.
So,
But in
final
those-
story.
yeah,
Yours now.
my story.
Yeah, you're the only person. We had to tell for each story throughout this. That was the whole meaning to this podcast. I think it's fair for the viewers to now understand
my
a bit more
story.
about you now, about you as a person, what you do, but what you're currently doing.
I
et
suppose
cetera.
I'm 52 years old. I'm a builder. I've been building. Fucking hell. I mean, you could virtually turn around and say 50 years. I was in my first footing when I was 3 years old. I'm just drawn to building. I don't know why.
Health and safety would have definitely shut that down.
Fucking right. It was out of order. What was my dad even thinking? Because when you put it into perspective, right? So I'm 3 years old, right? So I've wandered out into the garden, and I understand this, right? And I'll explain why in a minute. But my dad's dug all the footings out and everything else. So he's putting concrete in all the footings, and I've not only wandered out there and got in the footing, but I've actually got down the ladder and got into the footing. And my dad's like turned around and he said, you were just stood behind me with your welly boots in the concrete. He said, pretty much just in the concrete.
Stabbing it.
Steve's ready to
Yeah,
go.
so you're in the concrete. So he said, but
Give
don't
him a
just grab
trial.
me and just pick me up and put me up on the ground again. He said, and your welly boots are still in that footing. Because they've just come off, obviously, because you're in the concrete. And that was my induction into building.
Wow.
And it's
Fearless.
just...
The fact you remember
yeah,
that.
it's just, I think it's... I remember it, right? And I'll tell you how I remember it. It's kind of weird. But I had a car accident when I was a kid. I got hit by a car. And I can remember it like the day it was bought. The day it happened, I can still remember it now. And I was like 3 years old. Or 3 or 4 years old. I was young. I can't remember how old I was, but I can remember the accident. And ever since then, I can remember most things.
That's mad.
And that's
isn't
weird.
it?
That's where that scar come from. Harry
It's
Potter.
Harry Potter. Yeah, you
It's
got
Harry Potter.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
Harry
you got the
Potter.
Harry Potter.
All I remember is I got
amazing.
hit by this car, and it was a Triumph Dolomite. No, Triumph Dolomite? Was it a Triumph Dolomite? I think it was a Triumph Dolomite. Fucking piece of shit old car. It was funny. It's like 2 doors down one of our neighbours' cars. You imagine getting hit by one of those cars. They were fucking proper
Imagine
solid
crashing
car.
into that head. That is a big head. I bet you wrote the car off.
robust steel.
You
He's
wanna
got a
see the
steel
dent.
frame built around for his head.
Yeah,
And it's
well, the
all- he's got
weirdest part
fucking
about it is,
titanium.
I remember running out into the road, and my dad said it was the weirdest thing he's ever seen. He said, because this car came driving up the road, and I thought I could make it across the road, and I was holding my brother's pushchair, and I ran out across the road, right? And this car hit me, but it didn't hit me. And my dad said, the weirdest thing is, he said, you cut your head by hitting the back of the car. He said it was like somehow someone picked you up, lifted you over the top, and landed on the back of the car.
That's mad.
You like a cat. You got 9 lives.
Weird.
So
Yeah.
Weird. I've had some weird experiences of like accidents and stuff out being on building sites where you've fallen through things and I've just blacked out. Woke up, I've been all right.
you've fallen off a roof, haven't you?
Yeah,
That's another one.
Fallen off. I fell off. Oh, that was bad. I fell off my dad bank manager's house. So my dad's bank manager, he's the guy. He was like a really nice guy. He lived in Fernand, lovely house, swimming pool, all this sort of stuff, and let's use it as well. He was just a cool guy. So I was up on the ladder, off of his driveway, going up onto the roof at the top. My dad said, "Whatever you did, and get off the ladder without someone being at the bottom because it could slip." And I got off the ladder, off the roof, onto it because it's just apprentice. I didn't know, and the ladder slipped. And I just fell down and landed. My dad said, you literally landed on your feet, bounced up, and then landed on your head.
Oh,
Again, that head.
I know.
That head is
I tell you
extreme,
what, that was
isn't
the
it?
worst
Dude,
night in hospital.
I've
Do you know what? The
inherited it as
worst
well.
thing about that was, right? It's horrible because I remember I had a concussion. So I've had all these scans. I'm in Poole Hospital and I'm in the ward, and it's just one of these like quick wards. Next to me is a prostitute. Prostitute from Boscombe, and she's so obviously something's happened to her. Look, it was bad, but
How did you know she was a prostitute?
Because the coppers.
She had like
just-
big thigh-high
because,
boots on.
Yeah, no,
Got
just-
my prosty boots on.
Was it
no,
fishnet tights?
She wasn't that type of prostitute. She was the one that you'd wonder, like, how the fuck does she make any money? It was one of them prostitutes. And something had happened to her, and I couldn't quite get to the bottom of it, but oh my God, the noise. And her being interviewed all night long by the police.
Oh,
and this is all going
really?
on in the net. And
While
I'm like-
you've got
I'm like
concussion.
there going, oh, my head's fucking killing me. And I've got these people coming around going, well, shining lights in your eyes. And I've got this whole conversation going on. And she's quite clearly not been brought up probably in the best environment. And
Yeah,
stuff
she's dealing
like
with
that.
her stuff.
Yeah, you just, I'll let you guys picture how you see her because I don't want to be
Tall
contradic-
and red with this nice satin gloves
So
on.
let's
That's
do
what you
Jay.
love.
Yeah, 100%. I would have been in the bed with her, 100%.
Yeah, Jay, that's your. But no, look, I was speaking to somebody this week. I was speaking to a friend of mine, Nikki, or Gail's friend, Nikki. And
Shout out to Nikki.
Shout out to Nikki. But I was speaking to her this week, and she said, "I love the fact that when you're telling your story, sometimes I start imagining that person." And let Nikki imagine this one. She ain't good. I said, whatever you're thinking, it's worse.
Yeah.
I said it was shocking, and the way she's speaking, the whole conversation, everything was just unreal. And I always remember that. And I was late in that hospital. I was so glad to get out of there the next day. But my mum turned up to come and get me.
Nice.
I was like, can I fucking go home, please? God, I
I
can't
hate
handle
hospitals.
this anymore.
Yeah.
That was my worst fucking experience in a hospital. It was horrible.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's part of parcel. There's so many things that's happened, but I've had accidents, but that's one thing. But then I've also learned to become this, I don't know, different sort of builder. It's
Resilient.
All the experience I've had. I mean, I spent years and years and years as a carpenter, and then I spent years and years as a carpenter working with lads, training lads. So, you think
Can
from
I say
the
one
age...
thing? It's been amazing being taught by you.
Ah,
And I want,
thank
that,
you.
I
Should we
want
give a round
people
of
to know
applause?
that. It's
Thank you.
actually
I
been
didn't-
amazing to be
yeah.
taught
Really
by my
nice. That's
dad.
genuinely really
and
nice.
Like to be able to share something that we both have a passion in,
Yeah,
and
I
actually are
appreciate
both
it. Thank you.
like no, but like seriously, it's like it's incredible that both me and you actually can work together every day. No arguments throughout it. We
I don't
we
know
have
how
our
we do
few,
that.
obviously, but like nothing major.
Yeah,
do
but when
we?
you... no worse
we
than a
share
marriage.
such a good passion.
Actually, worse than
He's
no
an
worse
incredible
than a marriage,
builder. He's
Thank you.
an
That's
incredible
really,
builder.
that's really nice. That is.
No, I just thought I'd say that. Just I felt like it needed just to
Do
be
you want to say
said.
anything nice about me? Because I feel fucking left
Yeah,
out
you
here. I'm
do.
sat here like, no, don't touch
You're-
me.
you're the
No,
nicest
no,
ginger guy I
Don't touch me. No, you woo me, please.
I don't know any ginger guys.
Come
up in
on.
James.
Mickey.
Oh well, I don't
Touch
really. I didn't really count Mick as a ginger. I
No.
never really. When you said about it,
I
last
would
week,
say he
never
would have
caught
gone
him
more
as
on
a
the
ginger.
blonde.
Yeah, because I always think
You got to stand out.
He was very blonde head when he was younger. I remember Mickey, like, it was just fucking funny. When we was in the band, we used to drive as me, Craig, and Mickey. Mickey sitting in the middle, me and Craig. And we're driving back from Weymouth and stuff out, and he was like 16, fucking ripped. You know, he's like fucking 6-pack, and he's always going to have a 6-pack. And me and Craig look at him going, prick. He's so fucking 16, he's there, fit as fuck.
Should we ask him to get his 6-pack out next week?
It's a 6-pack of Fosters.
Bring a 6-pack of Fosters.
But, you know, and I remember Mickey saying it, and I was like, I remember, you know, he said, oh, yeah, I'll always look like this, you know, and he would eat chocolate bars and fucking crisps and all that crap, and nothing would fucking stick to it. And he's like, I look at it now and go, it's cool, you out now, son. And I always said to him, he go, no, never going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, watch
Life.
out, Brad.
That's life. I'm going to be putting on a few pounds over the next few years.
Yeah,
My
I'll tell you
head
now.
is slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm going to soon have a square fucking head like that guy over there,
You
unfortunately.
remember Sumo walks around, there's like a sumo head.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm going to be screwed later on in life. I'm going to be grey hair and a big fucking
Why do you think
head.
they invented
Why?
So guys, get
Yeah.
you ready for it.
You're
Why
gonna
do
be
you think
white.
they
I'm
invented
gonna be
bifold? Just so
white.
that I could walk into a room.
Get your head in the
Go
room.
through the door.
Yeah, so you could open
And
them
it's
all
not
up
because
to
I've got
get
a big
out.
head, it's just that he's a big head. I do appreciate it because I bought these Christmas hats, right? So I thought, I'll get a couple of Christmas hats, wear a Christmas hat. I can't get the fucking thing on my
Try
head.
it. Try it quickly.
Honestly,
Try it.
I swear to God, look, it's fucking ridiculous. I'll be the microwave for this one. But that literally is as good as it gets.
Can I try it on? Can
I can't get it on my head, so
Hang on a second.
it's embarrassing.
Right, hang on a second.
Oh my god, how baggy it is.
There ain't fuck all
There you go.
wrong with that.
There's the
That-
perspective of what it's like to have a big head.
there is
I'll tell
nothing-
you what, like, you know, we were talking about the guy last night with a big dick, right? Having a big head is a curse. It's
Is it?
not. There was no gain to having a big head.
I
is
think the
there?
funniest thing for us is the experiences we've had, like going go-karting.
Oh,
One of
that's
them.
the
So that's the
worst.
funniest one.
That's the
They
one.
do
When
a
he goes to-
helmet
the
big
muzzle
enough
goes
so
to
they got
basically get his helmet.
XXXL on the back, right? I put it down, like and the thing,
nuts.
the chin guard is there, so I can't really see out the top, but you can see my chin underneath the
Quad
front.
bike helmets are
I
funny
don't
as
know
well,
why
they're-
I ever bother putting it. I got old to get my own helmet. You know, I kept saying it every time I went go karting, every time I went anywhere where I needed a helmet. I always said I should get my own fucking helmet because they're always too tight. They're horrible because.
I don't think you need one, Steve. If I'm honest with you, after hearing, hearing a few.
I think
of
my
these-
hair will protect me.
Yeah, that Lego
Yeah, you've got
hair.
that shine, haven't you?
Yeah.
That'll absolutely protect
Well,
it.
guys, where are we at?
Shit,
That
really?
goes quick, doesn't it?
Yeah,
This set's
flew
about to
by.
end. That's what I'm thinking. We got it's a sunrise
Wow.
set. I don't, even though it's night time, we've gone for a sunrise set. But
Nice.
shout out Chris Luna.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're end it there, boys. Can't
Oh,
we?
nice. Well,
Next
Merry
one.
Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Yeah,
definitely.
I'm sorry. It was like we went to. I don't know what we were fucking
The
doing.
rabbit hole.
At the end of the day, yeah, we go
we've
down a
talked about
rabbit
some-
hole and we come out the other end, don't we? So sometimes we say, look.
You wouldn't get down the rabbit hole with that fucking fat head.
Yeah.